Okay, class, today we're in section 11.2, angle theorems for triangles. 11.2, angle theorems for triangles. Okay, get this in your notes. You should write down 11.2 and angle theorems for triangles. Okay, write down the key objectives. Write down the key objectives. And so far, it's to learn to find the measures of angles in a polygon. Learn to find the measures of angles in a polygon.
Hey, let's take a look at the angles within polygons. Let's start off with the simplest polygon, which is the triangle. So there are 3 angles to a triangle. And so we've got 1, 2, 3. And what can we say about them? Well, here's a really cool fact, and you should try this for yourself. Take a piece of colored paper, cut out your favorite triangle, and now just remove the angles. I'm going to do this by ripping them. There's one angle right there. There's another angle, and there's the third angle. Let's put those angles together. And it's like a magic trick. You're going to want to show this to your friends. This is so cool. Put the angles together. And look what happens. Do you see that? They line up on a perfect line, which means the sum of the measure of this angle, that angle, and that angle has to actually equal 180 degrees. That's the measure of a straight angle. So, what that tells me is if I have any triangle at all, and I call the angles 1, 2, 3, the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 will always equal 180 degrees. And there's why. So it's so cool. We can use that to actually prove all sorts of really neat things. Let me show you one of the neat things that we can look at. Let's see if we can figure out the value of x, which is the measure of this angle of this triangle. Now, all we know is that this angle is 78 and this angle is 27. So what could I do? Well, I could use this fact to notice that I can set up an equation, because I know that the measure of angle x plus the measure of the other angle, which is 78, plus the measure of the third angle, which is 27, that has to add up to 180 degrees. And now I can actually solve this for x. If I add these two numbers up, I see 105 equals 180. And so to solve this, I want to undo the addition of 105 by subtracting 105 from both sides. And so when I do that, what do I see? I see that x, and then I have 105 minus 105 is 0, equals 180 minus 105 is 75. And so I see that x equals 75, and my units here are degrees. So 75 degrees. 75 degrees. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So if you want to find angles in a triangle, and you know 2 of the angles, you can always find the third by simply using this fact that the sum of the angles is 180. We can set up an equation.
Okay, he did a pretty good job of explaining, and that is, you know that when you add the sum of the angles in a triangle, that it must equal to 180 degrees. So in other words, x plus 78 plus 27 must equal 180. Now, the fact that the sum of all the angles must equal 180, that is true for any triangle, no matter how big, no matter how small. All right, let's get this in our notes. Angles of a triangle. The sum of the measures of the angles in a triangle is 180 degrees. So they're telling us angle 1, angle 2, and angle 3. If we were to add them and write it algebraically, M stands for measure. So the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 must equal 180 degrees. Okay, to reinforce the lesson, let's take a look at example 1. Find the missing angle measure. Step 1. Write the triangle sum theorem for this triangle. The measure of angle D plus the measure of angle E plus the measure of angle F is equal to 180. You need to know that information. Angle D, angle E, angle F. Substitute the given angle measures. That's step 2. 55 plus the measure of angle E, which we don't know, plus 100 is equal to 180. Once again, the sum of the interior angles of a triangle must equal 180 degrees. Solve the equation for the measure of angle E. 55 degrees plus the measure of angle E plus 100 degrees is equal to 180. We're trying to get the measure of angle E by itself. So the first thing we're going to do is add everything that's alike on the left-hand side. 55 plus 100 is 155. So now I got 155 plus the measure of angle E is equal to 180. I want to get the measure of angle E by itself. This is a positive 155, so therefore I'm going to do the inverse. What's the inverse of a positive 155? A negative 155. What I do on one side, I must do the same thing on the other side. So 155 minus 155 is 0. This cancels out. So I got the measure of angle E by itself. Now I take 180 minus 155 and it gives me 25. So now if I were to take the 25 and put it here, when I add 25 plus 100 plus 55, that would give me 180 degrees. So once again, the measure of angle E is 25 degrees. Now when you're taking your notes and as you're doing your problems, make sure you're using algebraic notation. The measure of angle D plus the measure of angle E plus the measure of angle F. Okay, let's take a look at example 2. Using the exterior angle theorem. You can use the exterior angle theorem to find the measures of the interior angles of a triangle. Okay, let's make sure this is in our notes. Find the measure of angle A and the measure of angle B. So we got to find the measure of angle A and the measure of angle B. Step 1. Write the exterior angle theorem as it applies to this triangle. And the theorem is the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B is equal to the measure of angle ACD. So once again, the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B is equal to the measure of angle ACD. So in other words, these two angles, when you add them together, they're going to equal this angle. That is called the exterior angle theorem. Step 2. Substitute the given angle measures. So the measure of angle A is 4y minus 4 plus the measure of angle B, and that is 3y. That's 3b, right? That's B right there, 3y. A is 4y minus 4. And that's equal to 52. That's that angle right there. Step 3. Solve the equation for y. Okay, now step 3. Solve the equation for y. So we have 4y minus 4 plus 3y is equal to 52. First thing we do is we remove the parentheses. So 4y minus 4 plus 3y is equal to 52. I step on the left-hand side and I try to combine whatever terms are alike. 4y and 3y are alike. So a positive 4 plus a positive 3y would give me 7y. 4y plus 3y is 7y. So now I have 7y minus 4 is equal to 52. I'm trying to get the 7y by itself first and then get the y by itself. But in order to get the 7y by itself, I must get rid of this negative 4. So the inverse of a negative 4 is a positive 4. What I do to one side, I also do to the other side. A positive, when combined with a negative, combined with a positive, that goes to 0. So now this is gone. I'm left with 7y by itself. I'll go on this side, and I got 52 plus 4. That's going to give me 56. So now I have 7 times y is equal to 56. How do I get y by itself? I divide both sides by 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. So there's a 1 right there in front of that y that we don't see, but it's implied because all you see is 1y. Now 56 divided by 7, that's 8. So y is equal to 8. All right, now go back and look at the diagram very carefully. Notice how this says 4y, or 4 times y minus 4. This says 3 times y. And real quick, what that means is whatever value I have for y, I multiply it by 3, and that gives me the angle. So 3 times 8 is going to give me 24. All right, we're going to go down and explain the rest. All right, so in step 4 is where we're going to explain the rest. Use the values of y to find the measure of angle A and the measure of angle B. The measure of angle A was equal to 4y minus 4. Well, y was equal to 8. So now I got 4 times 8 minus 4. I'm going to use my order of operations. What's 4 times 8? 32. So now I got 32 minus 4. And what is 32 minus 4? 28. And then we go back over here and explain angle B once again. The measure of angle B was equal to 3 times y. The y value was 8. So 3 times 8 is 24. So just like that, I know the measures of my angles. All right, you may go ahead and complete the rest of your turn before you start your normal homework assignment.